Welcome back to Hashtag Single with Jeanette Bonner. I am not a relationship expert or sex therapist. I'm just a regular New York City woman navigating the world as a single, independent feminist. Hashtag Single is about having honest conversations with other singles in today's device-obsessed culture. So I hope you'll join me on this interesting, challenging, and complex journey as we navigate the ins and outs of singledom. Fabulous women. I am Jeanette, your host. This month, I've got some super cool guests for you. As you know, every month we bring you a guest expert, someone working in the dating or relationship industry in some way. And sometimes that means dating coaches, and sometimes that means the founders of a new dating app, like our guests this month. Please join me in welcoming Danielle Dietzek and Julie Griggs, entrepreneurs and creators of new dating app FourPlay. Ladies, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited.
I'm excited to have you. It's also just exciting, I think, just this is awful, but like to have a new app. I'm sure, I think you guys are single too, and so we have this sense of like, this one's not working, which is ridiculous because it's the same thing. But I definitely have like, I'm not doing this one anymore. It's not working. I would need a new thing to play with. So This is really exciting. Just if this is new to you, it is a new app. So just to sort of catch you up to speed here, FourPlay is a double dating app that enables singles to team up with a friend and match with other pairs. It is a more fun, less awkward, and much safer way to date, allowing users to meet and go out in groups rather than alone with a total stranger, which I can totally get behind. So let's start at the beginning. Talk to me about where the idea of FourPlay originated from, because I read that both of you were or still are working as healthcare professionals, right?
Isn't that weird?
Is it? I mean, doesn't everyone in New York have like 10 jobs at the same time? You know,
yeah, that's true. That's kind of true. Yeah,
but I'm also a director. You know, like whatever.
So yeah, Julie and I both work in healthcare. I am a nurse in New York, and Julie is a physician assistant.
Oh my God.
So we certainly did not mean to create an app, to be totally honest. The way that FourPlay started was Julie and I actually made a shared dating profile on one of my dating profiles. We made a shared account. And so it was pictures of only the two of us. And I wrote, swipe right if you and your awesome friend want to double date me and my awesome friend.
Very clever.
That's how it began. And we were getting so many matches. Like all these guys were writing into us being like, oh my God, this is such a good idea. I know just the guy. You know, there was like the occasional guy who thought it was for a threesome, but we were like, no, that's not really what we're looking for.
I'm glad you said that because that was 100% where I was going to go. Yes. You're like, yes, I'm in. I want both. Thank you.
Yes. Like one guy was like, what if I want both? And another guy was like, what if I only want one of you? And it was like, all right, dude, slow down. So the response was really successful, and we were like very surprised by that. I mean, we knew that we were going to do well, but we didn't know we were going to do that well, and we were going to meet that many single guys. And then Julie, didn't you say some person said like you should make an app? And that's when Julie's wheel started turning.
That's great. I mean, but people always say stupid things like that, or like it's the equivalent of you should write a book or you should make a film. Like it's so easy. Like you guys, it's such a great idea. You should make an app, but everyone knows that is a huge uphill battle to climb. So talk to us a little bit about the ins and outs of creating an app. Like where do you even begin?
Yeah, it's amazing because you're so right. People, like he said it, the person who wrote to us saying you should make an app, it was so nonchalant. And so my family actually was very persistent. My brother especially was like, you girls need to make this an app because if you don't, someone else will. Like the response that you're getting is crazy in a positive way. And it's obviously something that's wanted. So you need to make it happen. And I guess us and the Griggs family, we're a bunch of dreamers. So we're like, yeah, we'll do it. Danielle was like, get me out of your family's group chat. I mean, your brother is like blowing up my phone every second and I can't handle it. And I'm like, no, like he's serious. We're going to make an app. And she was like, okay, like we'll play dress up later. Like I have to go to work. So, you know, we kept trying to get her to have the conversation and she wasn't very interested. And then my brother called me and he was like, you should name it FourPlay. And I was like, Danielle, we're going to call it FourPlay. And she's like, okay, I'm in.
Once I heard FourPlay, I was like, I'm not going to go with that. I mean, that's a project.
Well, also, like, then it starts to become a little real. Like, you can start feeling like, okay, I get a sense of, like, oh, what our graphic would look like. Or, like, oh, I get a sense of, you get excited about the creative part of making something new.
Exactly. You think the conversations in your head that people are going to say, like when you tell them the name of your app is FourPlay. and I couldn't resist that. I was like, I gotta have those conversations.
Was your brother in the tech arena?
My brother he was the founder of his own online marketplace years and years ago.
Okay, that's the key part. If my brother wouldn't have cared that much, I don't think.
But it's funny because my brother's company, it failed ultimately. He had to close down and move on with his life after doing it for like 8 years. But in a way, we joke around like this is like his like redemption. He's like going to help us so hard with FourPlay because he really wants it to succeed because he knows what it's like to start a company that didn't. Yeah. Which has been really valuable. But I mean, I think that Danielle and I are a little bit crazy because I was in my final year as a physician assistant student, right? So I was getting ready to take the board. I was studying for the boards, getting ready to take them. Applying for my state license, applying for jobs. Danielle was settled in her career as a nurse at NYU in Manhattan. So like our lives were set. Like that's it. I was done. And then it's like, okay, let's just turn everything upside down now and try to create a dating app and teach ourselves what all of these words mean and have phone calls with people and get off and be like, do you understand what just happened? Because I don't. Like it was crazy.
I feel like I would be like that. Like I was thinking about two things. Did you find, because obviously with any startup, there's capitalization, there's the raising of funds you have to do to create a new company. And I was curious if you felt that it was easier or harder to do as a female team, and or was it easier or harder to be a female in a very tech-driven arena, the app world?
I think we're coming in at such a good time because I think that it would be more difficult to be a female had this been 5 years ago or even 2 years ago. And I think that because that was really highlighted and spoken about and written about, now it's actually, I think, an asset because now that it's been made known, I think that the community really wants females to succeed in tech.
Yes.
To be as successful as men are. And so I think it's actually a good thing for us. Would you agree, Julie?
I would totally agree. And I think it's very interesting that as a nurse and a physician assistant, it's a very female dominant field. Like healthcare has shifted tremendously to women. And especially as a nurse, it's a very nurturing role. And, it's in my class when I was in school, it was like 90% female. So to now be in a industry that's very male dominant, it's been really interesting to see the difference. But I definitely agree that being a woman works for us.
Wait, why does that make you laugh? Yeah.
I'm laughing because I am so used to working with women because when I only work with women as a nurse. I work with all women. And then there are several doctors who are women as well. And just a few that are men because I work in OB. So,
yes.
So it's like all women. My patients are women. My colleagues are women.
Yes.
And now we're in a world with men and I am laughing because I feel like I don't know how to talk to them. and I feel like every interaction.
I understand that.
I feel like every interaction I like need to flirt. and like I feel like
oh girl,
like, no, like
resist.
no.
Danielle.
And I'm like, how do you speak to men? Because I'm only used to talking to women.
It's slower and simpler, I find, really.
Yes.
Explain something to you that you don't understand.
You just dumb it down. That's all you do.
Yes. I mean, kudos to you guys. Like, I love female entrepreneurs on the podcast. I mean, I'm a big fan of women that are brave enough to create something new in the world in the first place against the odds. I think you're so right in illuminating the fact that people are aware that there's disparity in representation across the board in industries, right? Like
Absolutely.
There's no female directors, there's no diversity in film at the Oscars, and there's not enough women in the tech arena. So I love that you guys are jumping on that and saying like, no, this is the time for change. I applaud that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So talk to me about the app. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I downloaded it and I set up a profile, but I don't have any teammates yet. We'll talk about that. So I wasn't able to explore it as much as I wanted to. But for anyone listening that's curious, if you will, about this new idea of group dating, walk us through it.
Totally. So just like the other dating apps, the technology we use is like a swipe right technology, right? So it's something that anybody can use who's been on a dating app before. It's very, very easy. The only difference is instead of having an individual profile, you're actually swiping with your friends. So you have a team profile. And rather than swiping on other individuals, you're swiping on other teams. So when you join the app, you invite a friend to be a teammate, and then together you fill out your team profile. You put pictures of yourselves, and you type what you're looking for, and kind of a small description of who you are, and set your preferences for filters. And then you're swiping through other teams, and on my individual device, I'm giving the thumbs up or thumbs down, or swipe right or swipe left. And then on my teammate's individual device, they're doing the same. So if my teammate and I both have interest in another team, and both of those teammates have interest in us, that's a match. A group chat will then be generated. We can all talk in the group chat. And then hopefully we'll go on a double date. But it's all about being social and being single. We know that there are apps for social people. We know that there are apps for single people, but there aren't really any options for social single people. So this is a way to bring singles together in like a very pressure-free way, like free of expectations, and no need to like get romantic. If it gets romantic, great. If it doesn't, great.
Yeah, I approach dating that way in the first place anyway, because you can't guarantee chemistry. And I always say, like, maybe you just connect on a human level and you become friends, or maybe you become business partners, you know, like it's just a cool way to meet people. But so do all your photos have to have pictures of the two of you together? And how do you agree on the filters?
Oh, I love that question.
Like, what if I'm like, nobody under the age of 30, and my girlfriend's like, nobody over the age of 30?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's a great question. I don't know if you guys would be good teammates, to be honest.
Okay.
That's
well,
cutting
that was
it
an
close.
extreme example, but like, what if it's religion, or what if it's, I don't want to be as shallow as to say height, but let's just give that as an example.
That's a good question, and it's interesting that you asked that, because we just had a conversation last week about this. But in general, with FourPlay, we don't really have that many filters. So with other dating apps, you know, you can filter by height, and you can filter by race on a lot of them, and you can filter by religion, and you have deal breakers and stuff like that. We aren't about that. The only way that you really filter is the age range and the geographical location.
Oh, okay.
Because our philosophy is more about connecting singles. Like Danielle was saying before, you know, we're an app for social singles. So we don't really necessarily put the emphasis on finding romance. We put the emphasis on putting yourself out there and meeting people.
And connectivity.
And connecting,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I love that.
Because
Yeah.
I think that we limit ourselves a lot in life. And I think that, you know, teaming up with a friend challenges you to put yourself in a situation that you normally wouldn't, and challenges you to step out of your comfort zone and maybe go out with someone that you wouldn't have on your own. And I think a lot of singles will be pleasantly surprised as they meet new people and different types of people that they probably wouldn't have given a chance to otherwise, that they do have things in common with them and they do vibe with them in real life, even though on the apps they didn't think that they would be a match. So we don't really have many filters. It's just how old you're willing to go, or how young, and where you want to do it.
I think that's great. And what about the photos thing? Do you have pictures of the two of you together? Like you're like a pair?
When you asked about the photos and then you said, how do you choose the filters? I actually thought you were talking about the filters of the photos.
Oh my
and
God.
I was like, And I was like, what a good question, because I always like this filter and Julie always likes it unfiltered.
If only life were that simple and or complicated. Like, let's make things really hard.
You don't have to have pictures together. I think it's awesome if friends do. I think it shows some personality also. But at the same time, we recognize that people haven't been together in a really long time. So a lot of people don't have the opportunity to just get together and take a selfie. Right. So we've definitely seen people on the app, because we're active users ourselves. We've seen people on the app that have, if it's Jim and Joe, it's like 2 pictures of Jim and 2 pictures of Joe.
Okay.
What's not ideal are group shots.
Because you're like, who is it? Which one am I getting? All 5 of you? Oh my God. Yeah. No, I was thinking that. And then in terms of like the profile, maybe I'm getting way into it, which would 100% be my MO. But like, is it, things that my friend Jessica and I like to do together? Is it like about our friendship? Because if you have to make a profile, how do I talk about myself and how does she talk about herself?
Yeah, that's how Danielle and I have it, actually. So we met at Penn State. That's how we know each other, undergrad. So our profile is a photo of us at a Penn State tailgate, and then one of us like riding horses when we were in Greece together. So I think I put our pictures up, Danielle, but I tried to make it to show how we interact with the world, and then because I think it's important to know how people what type of person you are, and then where there's a little bit more clarity on the profiles is for all intents and purposes, let's say this, like underneath the team photos, the screen is split in half. So on one half is Danielle and her statistics, and on the other half is me and my statistics.
Okay, got it.
With an account photo, so you can see, okay, that one is Julie. So in the pictures, that there she is, and these are the things about her height and where she lives and what she likes to eat and her zodiac sign and all of those questions.
Yeah, but you guys I read that you have like some fun, unique features. So it's not just like swiping like the rest of them. Like, what were they? Oh, the cold shoulder feature. Or like the wing woman feature. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So have you ever been on a dating app and came across somebody who you just didn't want to see, or you didn't want to see you? I've actually run into like something that keeps happening for me actually is my ex-boyfriend's friends. Not even my ex-boyfriend, but his friends. And it's like, should I like you just to be like, hey, what's up? And then you like me. So it's like, oh, hi, we acknowledge each other, or are we not going to acknowledge each other at all? But to make matters simpler, what we do on FourPlay is something called the cold shoulder. You can avoid somebody. So you can put in somebody's phone number, and if that person is a user, we will not show that person to you, and they will not see you. They will not know that you exist on the app, that your profile exists. And if they ever join the app, we will make sure that you do not come across each other. So that's the cold shoulder.
That's so clever. Why doesn't every other dating app already do that?
We don't know.
I can't figure that out.
We don't know.
That's genius. Because you needed 2 female brains to put it in there. That's what you needed. Right. And what about the wing woman feature? What is that?
So we don't have a wing. I think what you might be thinking of is when your teammate likes the team, if you try to dislike them, give the thumbs down and say you're not interested, we give you a prompt to try to get you to reconsider your decision. So the pop-up will say, are you sure you don't want to do a double take? Danielle already liked this team. And then
you can just go to support her.
Yeah, exactly. So then your option is, fine, I'll be wingman, or no, I'm selfish. That. Yeah, so that's a way to try to get you to be a good friend, be there for, support your friend. If they're interested, like, just do it.
Just do it.
You guys said you were pretty successful with the dual profile. Which app were you using, by the way, when you did that?
We keep that top secret.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
And I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why. It's not that we're not weird about sharing what app it is, but we've discovered that people have been banned for doing the same thing as what we did. Yes. And that actually goes to show that, like, we were not the only people to think that this would be an awesome idea. We were just the only people to do something with it. But I mean, we've come across like blog posts and TikToks of other people saying that they've done it as well. And people have been banned from Hinge, Bumble, Tinder for doing it. So for now, we keep it on the DL, what the app was.
How long ago was it that you guys did this? In school, was it?
So it was January of 2019.
Oh, it's not that long ago.
No.
Okay, I was thinking you were going to say like 5 years ago or something, and then I was like, well, maybe, dating, what it looks like on apps right now is actually way different, I think, even from 5 years ago, because a lot of these companies have figured out precautions and steps that they can put in to make it safer for women and to end harassment, digital harassment in various forms.
Right.
Dick pics. So, I was like, oh, maybe you were in before they figured out, oh, let's do this for whatever. I don't know what their reason would be for preventing it, but whatever.
Right. But that's a good point, actually. The dick pic thing.
Which we could talk all day about, I know.
We could talk all day about dick pics. I mean, that could be another episode. But something also that we can use cold shoulder for is somebody who has offended you on another app. So, like, if you've been on another app and
Yes.
and you're like, this person was like really creeped me out, or I went on a date with that person sent me a dick pic, whatever the case may be, put them into the cold shoulder. You never have to see them on
That's
FourPlay.
so clever.
Or
I
their
love
friends,
it.
which are probably as bad as they are.
Yeah, no joke. Because all men really just want to send you pictures
dick
of their
pic,
penis. I know. They can't help themselves. I had questions about your double dates that you went on. Okay, so first question. Did you ever get into a situation... Because I've been in this situation with my friends at a bar. We'd be at a bar, we start talking to two guys, and we, A, either like the same guy.
Always.
Or B, end up talking to the wrong guy. Like, we realized that we should probably swap. Did you ever get in that situation?
Yes. But we play nicely. We play nice in the sandbox.
We really do. We really do.
Do you have details you want to share with me?
I do remember when we were beta testing, which was back.
Yeah, we call it beta testing.
Which we were doing our own double dates just for proof of concept.
Yeah, for research. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I do remember before going on a date, Julie wanted one of them, and I didn't really want the other one. Julie, these were the two guys we went with.
Mm-hmm.
The one, you know them.
I love you have code names. You're like motorcycle dude and his French fry.
These two guys were pretty unforgettable, so I know
We
exactly
actually
what
call
you're
this
talking about.
right. We actually call this one the mute. He didn't speak.
Okay. Oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
No, not poor thing. He didn't want to. He didn't want to speak.
No, he.
Oh, it was like
not-
a protest?
He was like, "I'm too hot to speak," and it's like,
Exactly.
okay.
Oh,
He's like, I've never had to speak.
I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
So she.
But he
wanted
actually had a
that
lot
one.
to say before. He had a lot to say in the group text.
He did. He had a lot to say through digital. He had a lot to say digitally, and in
Yeah.
real life, he just couldn't find the words.
So maybe we're misjudging him. Maybe he just had social anxiety.
Maybe he just has expressive aphasia. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe someone's writing his messages for him.
Ooh, good.
I've gone down every rabbit hole with dating. Sorry.
That's such a good
we
call.
digress.
Also,
Yes.
I've written someone's messages for them, so that's definitely a thing.
I know.
Yeah, so Julie wanted him, and I didn't really want the other one, but I was like, whatever. I'll just be a good wingman. As it turns out, like we said, he really didn't speak. So sometimes it just works itself out anyway. And the other one happened to be a lot more... he was really enthusiastic and vivacious and this big personality. So it just works itself out. And I think the thing is that you run into those kind of situations whether or not you're on FourPlay, right? It's
Totally,
as you mentioned,
totally.
It happens when you go to a bar. It happens if you were to go to any sort of singles event. It happens all the time. You go to a wedding and you and your single friend are both interested in dancing with that one, and you never know. Maybe one of you has chemistry and the other doesn't. Maybe you both have chemistry and you kind of just talk it out. I mean, these are not unique to FourPlay.
I've been in a lot of situations with my friends when we go to the bar and we have an interest in the same person. I'm always just the one to be like, it's fine. You can you go for it, just because I'm not aggressive like that, especially with my friends. But with FourPlay, it's a bit different because you go into the bar blind. You don't know anybody who's going to be in the bar. And then you see one person in the bar who sparks your interest, but they sparked somebody else's interest too that you're with. With FourPlay, you are matching in advance. So you at least know what you're getting yourself into. You know who the two people are. And I think what's cool about our app is that you're not being set up by us. It's just you're four people who are down to go out and meet in real life. And so we've gone on double dates going into it being like, let's just see what happens. Like no one has either of them. It's just, let's just go meet new people. And it ends up being more fun because it's not competitive. You're meeting new people, you're vibing, and it's just a good time.
Yeah. I feel like that's a better mindset to have. First of all, just in life in general. Second of all, in dating in general. But without going in and being like, okay, so before we go in, I like the guy in the green shirt. You like the guy in the blue shirt. So let's make sure we sit together properly. Like, claiming it before you get in there is probably pretty silly.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
you don't know.
Especially because we're trying to go with the thing of no expectations. Like, this doesn't have to be romantic. And so, and the problem is with traditional dating apps is that there is an expectation that it is going to be romantic and there is going to be chemistry. And we want to be the antithesis of that.
I love that.
So there should not be any expectation. It should just be go in and connect. Whether that means connecting with the new people that you're meeting or connecting with your friend because you're having a night out together.
I mean, you say that. I love it and I believe it. It's also, we have to accept that it's very idealistic. Like, most people who probably are going on a 4-person date do have expectations that at least one of them is going to work out. You know what I mean? And you probably, I'm going to guess that most of the dudes are probably like, oh, I like the brunette better than I like the blonde, or something like that. Like, we're gonna bring in our preconceived notions, because that's who we are as human animals. So while I love the idea of like, let's just be open-minded and see what happens, I don't think everyone can be as altruistic as you guys are.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you. Of course, for sure. And it's like funny also because what you were saying before, it's like, I want the one in the green sweater. How do you know you're the one in the green sweater's type? Like, maybe the green sweater wants your teammate,
Yeah.
Right. That's so true.
So,
yeah, I feel like this is like, I smell a web series in here somewhere. Like, there
might
all
be.
sorts of misconnections. I'll share a funny story with you. Years ago, almost 10 years at this point, I was in Vegas with my girlfriend Lauren, and we met these two guys at a club. Do you still sell club? I think it's a club. It sounds so corny. We were at a club and we met these two guys, and we talked to them for like half an hour or so. And, we went to the bar to get drinks, and I was like, I'm not feeling this guy. And she's like, I'm not feeling this guy either. And I was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go home? Do you want to like try to find someone else? We'll circulate the room, or like, do you want to just like switch? And she was like, yeah, let's just switch and see what happens. And that's what we did. And we ended up both making out that night.
Amazing.
And cut to, she's now married to that guy.
No
And she has
way.
2 kids. I know.
No
So
way.
I always say that, like, if not for me suggesting that we switch instead of like call it a night and go home, like, she wouldn't be married to him right now.
Is crazy.
Oh my God. And also, your friend probably is not threatened at all by you and him because she knows that you had your chance and you were not interested.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
They didn't have chemistry. They didn't work.
No, I thought he was the most boring person in the world.
Oh my God, that is
and
so
it's so
funny.
interesting that like they ended up getting married.
That's a great story.
Hilarious.
I know, it is a great story.
Wait, he knows that story, I assume, right?
The husband
Yeah.
that we switched. I think I told him eventually that I was like, because he knew he was talking to me at the beginning of the night, and then men are dumb. They didn't realize that like we intentionally swapped them. We were just sort of like casually came back and stood in a different order and started a new conversation. But I mean, it's been long enough that I've known him that I think I told him that I was like, no, it wasn't.
That is so funny.
I know. So I know that feeling very much, and that whole thing of like, ooh, is it both of them suck, or maybe let's just change and we'll give it 20 minutes, and if it's still got like not good, we'll leave, So that's the success FourPlay story, if you will.
Yeah, no kidding.
I wanted to ask you, okay, so here's one of 2 potential issues that are coming up for me. We're just gonna get real because that's what we do here on #single. So, first girlfriend that I was like, I found this new app. It sounds so much fun. Let's do this. She said, I don't have the bandwidth to bring a new dating app into my life right now, which I totally am on board with. Second issue, sent it to another girlfriend, and she's like, sounds fun, I'm in. But then nothing happened. And I got the sense that she was like waiting for me to initiate something. And then I was like, is she thinking that I'm swiping for both of us and I'm going to have to do all the work here? So how do you address either of those issues? Just for people that are curious about your app, but maybe have some reservations about it.
Yeah. So for the second part of your question, you do have to invite a teammate, and your teammate will get an invitation.
Yes, so, which I've done.
Okay. And she didn't click it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
That's interesting though. Yeah. So it wasn't clear to her that you wouldn't be doing the swiping solo?
I don't know. I just wasn't feeling like the same energy. You know, when you're like, anytime you're like, let's go on vacation together, and someone's like, yeah, and then there's no follow up, and you're like, oh, you wanted me to do all the research, and you just put down your credit. You know that feeling? That's what it kind of felt like.
You know, I think what's fun about FourPlay is making the profile when you're physically together. So when Danielle and I made it, when we did it before FourPlay, it was so much fun choosing the photos together, coming up with the like short little blurbs together. So I would say people should wait till they're with their friend in real life.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
To make it, because it's an activity to do together.
Right. And I think that's really true, because we've even thought about that in terms of advertising. You know, where do we get singles when they're with their friends, like physically with their friends when they see the ad? Because I think that when you're creating your profile with the other person, there's a higher chance that you'll be engaged on the app.
Totally.
So that's right, Julie. I agree.
Bar coasters. You guys just have
bar coasters.
Bar coasters. You are genius. Oh my God.
I was half joking, but like, yeah, run with it. Yeah.
No, like, it's genius. And then the first part of your question was...
how do you deal with app fatigue?
App fatigue.
I mean, honestly, I get it, because I have app fatigue.
Yeah,
you know?
me too.
I mean, I totally relate. I think that the reality is, with any product, like how we've learned with our own advertising, it takes people 3 or 4 times seeing a product before they'll convert to it and try it out. And I think that the dating market is saturated with dating apps that are the same swipe right type thing. But ours really is different.
Unique,
you know, like, it's a totally different experience. You have a group chat, you have a private chat with your teammate, and you guys can joke around and talk about your match. We're integrating video chat into it now, so you're going to be able to do a 4-person video chat and meet these people virtually if you don't want to go out in real life.
Yeah.
So, you know, the truth is, I can relate and I get it, and my feelings don't get hurt hearing that, because it makes sense. But I think if you actually understand what FourPlay is and what we're doing, it is different. It's a different app. It's a different experience. It's for a different type of user. And I will say that I've seen the same guys on Bumble and Hinge in New York, and I have not seen those same people on FourPlay. So I think it's attracting a different crowd.
Yeah. I think one of the issues with new apps, I had Emily Smith. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this app. She founded a new app called Chorus, and it's tangential to what you guys do, in that she wanted friends to be part of the swiping / dating journey. So you actually have your friends swipe for you. And you have to have both matchmakers, quote unquote, swipe on the other person to get set up. And one of the things, and I don't think she would mind me telling you this, because I'm sure you're experiencing this as well as app creators, was getting the app out there into the world, like how to, like, everyone's so focused on the big 3 or the big 4, like, how do you get new users to know about your dating app? Because if you don't have enough people on the app, then people won't stay there. That's simply the truth.
Exactly. It's really about hacking the system, like doing everything we can to think of these like weird ways we can get users. And for us, that means like going through every single match we've ever had over the past 7 years that I've been using dating apps, and Julie, 6 years, and going through every single person we've ever spoken to and trying to find their contact information and finding out if they're still single, and telling them about FourPlay.
Wow.
I mean, I'm also on all of the dating apps, and I have my profession as like co-founder of FourPlay. And
very clever.
It's all about like putting FourPlay in the right place. And so, you know, of course we could have like a giant ad in the subway if we really wanted to, and we could raise money for that and say that we need to have a huge advertising campaign. But the truth is, like, that really wouldn't reach the single people. And the single people need to hear, like, have the text directly to their phone with the link for FourPlay in order for them to get on FourPlay. So we really try to acquire users in those weird, sneaky ways.
That's super smart. I mean, damn, I do not know how you guys have time if you are working full-time jobs in the healthcare industry in COVID, and then also trying to brainstorm how to get this dating app off the ground. You guys are freaking
It's been a rough
monsters.
year.
I don't know.
It's been quite a year, to say the least. So I'm ready for a nice nap.
No kidding, right? So you guys say that one of the reasons you wanted to create a double dating app was to create a safer environment for women in terms of the numbers of sexual assault crimes against women that stem from people that they meet while dating. I hope you don't mind if this gets too personal, but that's also the kind of the MO of #single. Did this stem from any specific experience that either of you guys had?
I've had a bunch of near misses. So I feel very fortunate that nothing happened to me. But at the same time, when we reflect back on those near misses, it could have been really tragic. For example, one of the examples the stories that we talk about is when I was a student at Penn State, and we went to the hockey house because they were having a party, and there was a boy that I was interested in, and all my friends had left because they didn't know that I wanted to stay to talk to this boy. And so I was left alone, and it was probably, a few hours had passed, and then I was like, okay, like I probably should go home. And it's very difficult at Penn State to get a taxi. This was before the days of Uber and Lyft. So it was extremely difficult to get a taxi. So I just started walking because it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, ready to be home and in my bed because it's freezing in the valley, and I wasn't made for that kind of weather. So I was walking home, and that was a Saturday night, so Sunday happens. Monday, I go to class, and I look at the Daily Collegian, which is a school newspaper, and it's talking about how a girl was walking home by herself on College Ave at 3 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, which is where I was at that time, and she was pulled into the bushes, and she was raped by a man. So that was really scary to read about because, I mean, who knows how much sooner or how much later that it was her instead of me.
Right.
So, I mean, that's awful. Someone should never be in that situation. You shouldn't be going home by yourself, you should be with a friend. So with FourPlay, I mean, it solves that problem. You're going out with your friend, you're coming home, hopefully, with your friend. So that was just one of the experiences that, I've had that really motivates us to want to make it a safer dating space.
Yeah.
I think also, we have physical safety in mind, but we also have protecting mental health in mind. And I think that women who have had experiences with sexual trauma, it is really hard for them to think about going on a dating app with a stranger that they met on the internet. Yeah. But it also feels like it's the only way to meet someone. Like it doesn't really feel like there are any other options these days. If you're single, like that's how you're going to meet the person that you'll be in your next relationship with. Sadly, it feels like that's more of a truth every day. And so how do we give those people a chance to use the modern technology in a way that feels more comfortable for them? And also, I mean, for me, in my personal history, I am in recovery from an eating disorder. And so for me, I feel that the one-on-one dating thing, while I'm willing to have one-on-one dates once I feel comfortable and have chemistry with someone, they are uncomfortable for me when I meet someone random from the internet because I don't like feeling like I'm being assessed, like that I'm being watched, like what I'm drinking, what I'm eating. That's something that I'm very aware of, given my history with an eating disorder. And I feel that bringing a friend kind of takes the pressure off. Like, I don't feel that I'm judged as much. I feel like everybody's kind of distracted. And I feel that I can just be myself because I'm being myself with my friend. So I think, we have to think about the people who aren't just typical. There are so many people who feel unsafe using the dating apps, feel vulnerable using the dating apps, and particularly women. So we want to give women a dating app that makes them feel more confident.
I love that. I think you guys address a lot of issues that are not spoken about in the dating culture. There is an assumption that everything is going to be fine, but we have to be realists and realize that every single time that you put yourself out there, you're exposing yourself to potential risk. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also very emotionally challenging to introduce yourself to a total stranger and be in a place of judgment and, as you said, being assessed. And like you said, the mental implications of that in everyday small ways that we just don't talk about. Like, dating is so hard on multiple levels. It asks a lot from women every single time they do it, and yet it's cast off as like this casual thing that you're just supposed to know how to do, that you're supposed to be good at, that you're supposed to be okay with doing, that we do because everyone else does it. But the more we have these conversations that really talk about the reality of dating, which is what I'm trying to do with this podcast, like, what is it really like out there? Mm-hmm. What messages are men receiving? Yeah. How am I being treated when I go on a first date? Why isn't this freaking working? Then hopefully we can really get to a better place in our society.
We really have been like oversimplifying the dating process, and people think it's easier that way. Like, a lot of people who aren't involved in it, like, we have many friends who have been in relationships with their boyfriends or husbands since college, and they never swiped right per se, and they think it's never been easier. But the truth is, because it's so simple, it's actually oversimplified to the point where we question ourselves if it's not working because it's just so simple. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it's not supposed to be that simple. Like, there should be a period of like getting to know one another, and like there's more than just swiping on someone's picture. Like, get to know one another, yes, like before expecting chemistry or before expecting something romantic to bud.
It's so crazy. I think I talk about this a lot. The expectation that it's just supposed to like magically work or magically be good or magically be safe when there's so many things that I'm like, no, I'm not going to give you my phone number before we meet. No, I'm not going to come to your apartment on the first date. No, I'm not going to allow you to send me pictures before I know what you look like in person. Like, it's insane to me. It is insane. I'm just like why? Like, I think people, at least the guys that I'm like talking with, just are like so excited to jump into like relationship territory. And I'm like, I don't know you. You don't know me.
Yeah,
like,
that is this. I mean, don't even get me started because I get so passionate about this. I don't know you. Why are you trying to connect with me on every single platform that you're on? Why are you asking for my Instagram? I don't want you seeing what my nieces and nephews look like. Or it's very weird to me. Why are you like sending me pictures while you're like on your hike instead of enjoying your hike when I've never met you in real life? It's very strange to me. It's like what's the deal there? It's because we're just so easily accessible, and now we're so easily exposable. It's like it's the ghosting thing kills me. I think ghosting is so mean, and I think that I feel so strongly about it because I'm a younger sister and have seen my brother when he was single before he was married going on dates and being like, I thought it went well, but she never answered me. And it's like, to give someone the common courtesy, just tell them that it wasn't there for you romantically if it wasn't. I mean, it's 3 more seconds of your day that you have to use your thumbs to send a text message. Like, come on. You know?
Cowards. They're all cowards.
I know.
What has been one of the hardest parts of the journey for you guys in creating a new dating app?
Good question. I think that there's 2 parts to that answer. I think the hardest part for us on the journey and the hardest part for us with a dating app, because they're different. Danielle, do you want to talk about like how things started off with us when we were getting ready to launch?
Yeah, I think like where Julie might be going with this is the professional versus the personal challenges. And personally, a huge challenge for us as we navigated this new relationship as business partners and also best friends and also people who are going on double dates together.
Oh my God. And you're at each other's, you're at Danielle's apartment right now, right?
Exactly.
And at each other's apartment.
You're in the same apartment. I love it.
In the same apartment, in separate rooms. Not weird for us. Happens all the time. Yeah, I think that personally something that was a challenge was I was actually very, very sick. As I previously mentioned, I was struggling with an eating disorder. I'm in recovery now, but I was very sick about a year ago or a year and a half ago. And at one point it was recommended that I have inpatient treatment. And I mean, we were just launching the app. Like it was literally about to go live in the App Store. And I did not want to go to treatment because I didn't know how long that was going to be. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't going to have my phone, access to a computer or internet. It was really going to be like off the grid. And I felt like I didn't want to relinquish that control to Julie. But I also didn't want to leave Julie with everything because she was so spread thin, just started working as a PA. And I was like, oh, gotta go. So I had to choose between, staying and being there for the company or going and taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I did decide to go. It was 2 months. We didn't know if it was going to be 2 weeks. We didn't know if it was going to be 30 days. It wound up being 2 months. And when I look back at it, I actually made the decision to do it for myself. But in doing so, I did, I think, save my role in the company.
Yeah.
I think that I was really not a good co-founder. I did not have my head in the game, was not giving anything to the company. I had very little productivity, and I think it hurt our chances of being successful. So I think ultimately it was the best decision we could have made, but it was very challenging. I think Julie can speak to how difficult that was for her launching the business on her own.
Yeah, so definitely personally the most challenging. But also aside from the business, it was like my best friend was going away for treatment.
Yeah,
so
no kidding.
Yeah, it was a really, really rough time. Luckily, Danielle and I have extremely supportive people in our lives. We have an amazing support system. So, my sister, he was like, I'm here to help you. Just like, please don't have a mental breakdown.
We don't need two. We don't need two people.
Right. Let's just keep it to one. But it was a rough time, but there was no other option in my mind. Like Danielle needed to go because her health and who she is, like she comes first before our company. Right. The person comes before the company, and that will always be that we as people and as friends come before our company, because before there was FourPlay, there was Julie and Danielle. So it was the right thing, 100%. It was very challenging. I had a lot of guilt when she was gone because the few times we did get to speak on the phone, I knew she didn't really want to hear about FourPlay because she wasn't part of it, but I also wanted to share in the excitement that we launched, but I felt like I had to kind of dance around it. I did the best that I could to text her parents to give them updates because they were invested, and then all of a sudden their connection to FourPlay was away without communication. So it was tough emotionally. It was a lot, but it all worked out for the better because Danielle, you've never been more productive than you are now. So, it really was the best thing for the company. We function a lot better. It's a lot more efficient, a lot more effective, and our relationship was saved from it because I could definitely see myself becoming resentful of a co-founder who wasn't pulling her weight. So that was tough. I would say professionally, the fact that we aren't tech people is the biggest challenge. We're healthcare providers. Our training is in healthcare. The data that we know how to analyze is data in terms of I can calculate your 10-year risk of having a heart attack. And
also, are you single?
Right, exactly. So trying to teach ourselves a lot of this stuff has been challenging. And people said, we weren't going to be able to continue our jobs in healthcare and do this. We had to pick one or the other, but we're proving them wrong because women are efficient and we can multitask. So just learning, the terminology and all the different platforms and all the different technology, excuse me, on a professional level, that's definitely been the biggest challenge, I think, at least for me.
I can't even freaking imagine. I mean, I have a hard enough time with this podcast, and it's like it's just talking, really. But honestly, guys, like I can't give you enough credit. Like, what just a beautiful testimonial to friendship, to female friendship, to being there for each other, to believing that people come first in everything, and that your health is the number one most sacred thing that you own.
Absolutely.
I think, and the fact that you both came through that to the other side in a better way, to a place where you could feel empowered to make this incredibly cool app that is unique, that no one's ever seen before. I mean, like, what do you want to do next? What is that? Like, what is the empire that you're building? I feel like whatever you guys are striving for, you could achieve.
Yeah, we do have a vision of an empire. We do. So we just imagine a world like where a friend turns to another friend and says, I'm so lonely, being single sucks so much. And the friend goes, well, why aren't you on FourPlay? like we want FourPlay to be ultimately more than just a swipe right dating app. I think that one day it would be wonderful for it to be a community of single people who feel as fulfilled and as included as people who are in relationships, where it is not sad or stigmatized to be single.
Hell yes.
Where it is
oh my
fun
God.
and awesome, and where being single still means connecting. It does not mean isolation.
Thank you. Yes. Praise Jesus. Like, I've got my hands to the ceiling right now in hallelujah. Like, I've been shouting that since day one. Like, and I think that message needs to be said louder and louder every day so people freaking hear it.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
It is so many people are struggling with loneliness. COVID has definitely pointed that out to us, and it's something that you have to work on, but it's not something that's hard. If we just look to our right and look to our left and reach out a hand and help people in this weird journey of life, then the world could be a better place, you guys.
Absolutely.
Do I hear tears?
No, you're crying. Ladies, it has been my pleasure to have you on this podcast. I'm so excited to introduce FourPlay to our listeners and to freaking get my friends to become my teammates. I'm looking forward to group dates in the future.
Hell yeah. I want to hear about
Zoom
them.
Or what? Oh, I will. I'll be like your biggest testimonial to be like, this girl is like in every commercial. What's up with that? No, seriously. And also just, it's been so lovely to get to know you as people and hear about your journey in creating this app. Like I said, there can't be enough stories in the world about women just having an idea and executing it and birthing it into the world successfully. So kudos to you. Congratulations on where you have landed. And thank you so much for connecting with me.
Yeah,
it's been really great to talk to you.
You too.
Thanks. All right, you guys. If you want to play with FourPlay, it is available in the App Store. It is completely free for you to use. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Julie or Danielle or myself. I'm sure they'd be happy to answer them for you, but we're really excited about your experience with this, so let us know. And as always, I'll just remind you to head on over to Instagram at #SinglePod, where the best conversations are happening with other singles such as yourself. We look forward to hearing from you about your experiences, dating and otherwise, and we will catch you next time.